outset, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it forward to you that the young population and the youth of this country, and what I strongly believe, as has been vehemently supported by my fellow panelist, is that we all are guardians of democracy and rule of law. That we, in whichever sector, in whichever field, and in whichever way we wish to progress, we need to remember that we have to be the guardians of democratic principles and rule of law, and we held everything under the supervision of the Constitution of this country. Well, how did I get involved with YI is a very coincidental meeting with me and my delegates of Indian delegation with Mr. Srikanth, Jacob, and Tulsi. It was a very fortunate meeting, though short in Russia, but we were able to follow it up back in India, and I am here all because of the efforts put by these gentlemen. So I would put a round of applause for them for taking this forward. Today, as shared, I was the head of the Indian delegation at the G20 Youth Summit. I would like to share some of the learnings that we have had in the negotiation, and as the principal negotiator on behalf of the Government of India. There were certain learnings that I would like to share with you in terms of the difference in the diplomacy that is happening right now at the government level, and the difference that we saw when the young diplomats met and discussed the same issues. The outcome was widely different. So we discussed, there was a panel of discussion on the principles of reforms on monetary policies around the world. So, as you all are aware, the G8 and the G20 has not been able to come up with any mandate or any consensus on the reforms of quota in the International Monetary Fund. But it was surprising that all the delegates from all the G20 countries, the developed and developing bloc, were able to come on a consensus that the developing countries require a more forefront representation. There has to be a reform in the quota system of IMF. And the most interesting change that I saw, difference rather, that happens in the actual diplomacy and the young diplomacy is that they accepted the fact that there are much credible and learned people in developing countries who can be the head of international financial institutions. So I look forward to US, EU or other European countries to head the IMF or World Bank. Why not look forward to India? Why not look forward to Brazil, Mexico and Russia? So that was one of the main success stories, and as we shared the final proposal of negotiation with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, he was amazed to see the consensus among the young diplomats over more inclusive growth of the world, and the difference in the young diplomats and the actual diplomats. And he said that possibly when he would share this draft with the actual leaders, that summit that is scheduled in September, some of the leaders of the countries might just faint to see the amount of consensus that you guys have been able to make. So that was one basic learning. Apart from that, the important thing was, one of the biggest achievement of the G20 Youth Summit was that it was acknowledged by the Russian President, it was acknowledged by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, and as the success goes ahead, this will be put on board in the main G20 Summit in September. So the main idea of any youth summit or any youth organization, including YI, is that the young people should be heard. So the G20 Youth Summit was largely able to push forward that idea, that the ideas of young people as to what they believe and what they feel about international issues should be put on board with the actual leaders, and they should take up these issues on board. That was the big achievement about the G20 Youth Summit. On the aspect of the role of young youth in international diplomacy and international policy, as has been pointed out by my previous speaker, we've been seeing so much happening in the Middle East, we've been seeing so much happening in India as well. We had the horrific gang rape in Delhi. The power and energy that is that the potential that young people hold has come out to spurt itself and show that it is not just the potential, but it can actually transform into action. So if you have stereotype, conventional politicians sitting not ready to do anything about it, people would take the road and discuss and ask the accountability. And nobody would disagree that accountability is one of the most important essentials of good governance. The people are held accountable, there is transparency. So the youth of this country understands the principles of democracy much better than what the politicians think they do. And one of the major incident was the pushing forward of, if not change, but certain draft principles into the cases of crime against women. I was in a very, and as I personally work with Justice Geeta Mittal, who was sitting on the panel of the rape law under Supreme Court, we had the maximum ideas come forward from the young people. Young people, a young organization of young people, than coming from the draft committees or the parliamentary committees or the parliamentary boards of different parties. So the potential is falling into act. The time is that we understand that this energy is put forward and it doesn't get discouraged right now. We need to take this way long ahead. So at the end of the discussion, what I would like to hear from the audience is that as we are in process of achieving what we look forward to achieve, how are your suggestions on what you think we can do much better, or as to how can we connect with you to take your ideas and your energies and your motivations and motivate ourselves to take this even further. So here I am, not to just share as to what I have achieved, but with much more outlook to look forward to my peer, my people who are my age, to tell me that what more can be achieved through talent sharing or negotiation between us. So, thank you.